What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now, there was a little bit of news to come out in the NFL as of yesterday, and this is not news that came from the Lions organization, but in fact from the Washington football team organization, as they yesterday released former first-round pick and former Ohio State quarterback Dwayne Haskins into free agency. Things weren't working out in Washington. Things weren't working out between the two sides, between the two parties, and the Washington football team felt that it was the best move for both sides to release Dwayne Haskins into the free agent market. Now, the topic of Dwayne Haskins has been debated by Lions fans. Some Lions fans want him, some Lions fans do not, some Lions fans love him, some hate him. You know, it's a very mixed opinion on the quarterback from Ohio State, and you know, what else is new in Detroit, right? All we seem to do is argue about our quarterback situation, so why would it be any different with Dwayne Haskins? But you know, in today's video, I wanted to talk about it, talk about his strengths, talk about his weaknesses, talk about where he came from, talk about what he could do and, you know, why he could be very successful in the NFL still, and then talk about some of the struggles he's had, talk about some of the reasons he was cut from the team, talk about why he was cut from Washington, and then, you know, overall just come to a conclusion on whether or not he could be the right quarterback for the Detroit Lions, both for the very near future as well as the extensive future for the Detroit Lions. Now, before we get into it, if you are new to the channel and are enjoying this Detroit Lions content, please consider liking the videos and subscribing to the channel. It takes only 2 seconds out of your day to like and subscribe. I'd be greatly appreciative for it. It would help the channel more than you could know. So if you could do that, just take those 2 seconds to like and subscribe, I'd be greatly appreciative for it. But with all of that being said, and without any further ado, let's get into doing a deep dive on the quarterback prospect Dwayne Haskins. Now, before this video starts and before I get into the stats, the analytics, and some of the reasons he's succeeded and not succeeded in his footballing career, first off, I just want to say Dwayne Haskins is a young and talented quarterback. Dwayne Haskins is only 23 years of age. He's coming out of Ohio State. He was a top 15 pick in the draft just 20 months ago. I mean, Dwayne Haskins is a young and talented quarterback. There is no doubt about that. I don't think anybody right now would tell you that Dwayne Haskins does not have talent. I don't think anybody right now in the NFL or otherwise would tell you that Dwayne Haskins can't throw the football, that Dwayne Haskins can't be a good quarterback, because we've all seen Dwayne Haskins be a good quarterback. We've all seen him make some good throws. We've all seen him run an efficient offense. We've all seen him play for a winner and play in a system that helps him be efficient and helps him be successful like he was at Ohio State. You know, Dwayne Haskins is a talented quarterback. Dwayne Haskins is a young quarterback, and you know, he has a lot of flaws, yes, but he does have a lot of talent still left in the tank. He does still have a lot to play for and does still have a lot to prove in the NFL, but from what I've seen from him and the flashes that I've seen at Ohio State and in the NFL, he has the talent to be a franchise quarterback, but he also has a lot of problems that he needs to work on. Now, Dwayne Haskins, with all the talent that he has not had the greatest start to his NFL career so far. He is now a 2-year NFL veteran. Again, drafted 20 months ago. He was the 15th overall pick in the 2019 NFL draft, so he is just finishing his sophomore season as of right now. Obviously, will likely finish it as a free agent, unfortunately enough for him, but starting his NFL career, he's played in 16 games. He started 13 football games in his NFL career so far. In those games, he has a 60.1 completion percentage, which is not great, but is not the worst that it could have been. I mean, it could be worse. He's thrown for 2,804 yards, which is not very good, 12 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. So, I mean, his NFL career hasn't started great, right? His NFL career is not the greatest career that a quarterback's ever had. It's not the hottest start to a career that we've ever seen for an NFL quarterback, to say the least. And so far, Dwayne Haskins has struggled mightily in his first 16 NFL appearances. Now, in his first 16 NFL appearances, he does also have 147 rushing yards with a rushing touchdown on top of that. I wouldn't say he's a scrambling quarterback, but I would say he has the mobility to escape if he needs to, time and time again. You know, he's not going to be a guy that's going to go rush for 100 yards a game. He's not going to be a guy that's going to break any rushing records, but I do think he has the athleticism and the legs to get out of trouble if he needs to. I do think he has the ability and the athletic prowess to extend plays long enough to get the ball away. I do think he has, you know, the ability to extend plays and to get a first down on occasion if you do need him to scramble, which is kind of nice to see from a quarterback, right? You don't want him to be a statue, but you also don't need him to be Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray fast, right? I do think his strength is obviously his throwing arm. His strength is obviously his arm and not his legs, but I do think he has enough leg. You know, I do think he has enough athleticism and enough scrambling ability to extend plays and get out of the pocket if need be. And sometimes in Detroit, you know, I wish Matthew Stafford could get out of the pocket a little better. Sometimes in Detroit, I do wish our quarterbacks could scramble and extend plays a little bit better than they do. Not that they're horrible at it, but I do think Dwayne Haskins can and has the ability to extend extend plays better than some other quarterbacks that we've seen in Detroit. Now, Dwayne Haskins in his first 16 games of the NFL career, his NFL career, hasn't been great. I said that 60% completion percentage, 2,800 yards, 12 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Not great stats from the young quarterback from Ohio State. But again, we've seen Dwayne Haskins be a good quarterback. There's a reason he was the 15th overall pick in the NFL draft just 20 months ago. In his only starting season at Ohio State for the Ohio State Buckeyes, he had a 70% completion percentage, which was very, very good. He had 4,831 passing yards in just 13 games for the Buckeyes. He threw for 50 passing touchdowns with only 8 interceptions on the season. He was third in the Heisman race in just his first season as the Ohio State quarterback. And I mean, he took over. He was very, very good. He was accurate. He was precise. He threw a lot of touchdowns and very few interceptions. He got out of the pocket. He extended plays pretty well. He got a couple nice rushing touchdowns. He threw with anticipation. He threw accurately. His wide receivers were good. His line was good. He had a good team around him, of course, and obviously a much better team around him at the college level than he's ever going to have at the NFL level. But still, Dwayne Haskins played very, very well at Ohio State, and those stats, and obviously finishing third in Heisman voting, is why he got drafted so high. That 70% completion percentage, those 4,800 yards, 50 passing touchdowns in 13 games. That is really, really good. Those are really good numbers. Those are the best numbers an Ohio State quarterback has ever put up through the air at the time of Dwayne Haskins leaving the program. And I mean, Dwayne Haskins showed so much potential and so much talent at Ohio State that many people still believe that he can bring that back. Many people believe that talent still resides in Dwayne Haskins. That accuracy, that arm strength, that touch on the football that he had at Ohio State, many people still think that that is still there in Dwayne Haskins. And I am one of those people. I don't think that Dwayne Haskins all of a sudden got to the NFL and lost his talent. I don't think Dwayne Haskins all of a sudden got to the NFL and forgot how to throw a football. Obviously, he still has some things to work on. Obviously, he still has some things to improve and things to fix in his game, and still has some flaws to iron out in his game. But Dwayne Haskins is not a bad quarterback. There are many reasons he was cut from the Washington Redskins. However, his play on the field and his talent and his potential as a quarterback was one of these smaller and more finite things that the Washington Redskins used and looked at when they decided to release Dwayne Haskins. Dwayne Haskins has all the physical tools he needs. He has the prototypical size. He has the prototypical arm strength. He has good accuracy. He's not a stupid quarterback. I've seen him make good reads before. He's a young and inexperienced quarterback and sometimes makes the dumb throw. Sometimes, isn't the greatest with where he throws the ball or what decision he makes, but he's not a dumb quarterback. He can always develop mentally. I think mentally is his biggest problem in the NFL. I think he doesn't process things as well as he could be and as quickly as he should be at this level in the NFL, but he does have all the tools. He does have the size. He does have the strength. He has the arm strength. He has the accuracy. He can extend plays when need be. And Dwayne Haskins physically can be a franchise quarterback. He has all the tools available to him to be a franchise quarterback and to be the quarterback that the Lions specifically or any other team could take into the future and have a lot of success with. There's a lot of reasons that Dwayne Haskins was cut from the Washington football team, but a lot of it has to do with off the field stuff and maturity issues, which I will talk about in a minute when we get to it. The first reason I believe Dwayne Haskins was cut from the Washington football team was because the coaching in Washington didn't like him. I don't think Ron Rivera, as good of a head coach as Ron Rivera is, obviously he coached Cam Newton for a long time, obviously took the Carolina Panthers to a Super Bowl, coached a very good defense in that Carolina Panthers defense for many years. He is a good head coach, and I'm not saying Ron Rivera is a bad coach for this. I'm not saying Ron Rivera is a bad coach overall or anything of the sort, but Ron Rivera was not the coach to draft Dwayne Haskins. The Redskins, Redskins at the time, football team now, drafted Dwayne Haskins, and then they got a new head coach in Ron Rivera. Ron Rivera did not draft Dwayne Haskins, and as a result, I don't think that he ever really wanted Dwayne Haskins. And I'm pretty sure even on draft night, there were reports that people in the organization didn't want Haskins. They were very split on the quarterback. They were very split on one person versus another. Some people wanted one guy, some people wanted Haskins. They went with Haskins. Some of the coaches didn't like that, and I feel like Haskins and the coaching staff in Washington have never really gotten along, and I feel like the coaching staff in Washington was never really fully behind or fully in supporting Dwayne Haskins as a quarterback. I just feel like from the very beginning, they didn't get along. From the very beginning, they didn't really like each other. And as a result, the coaching staff never really helped Dwayne Haskins develop into the quarterback he could be. And then when Ron Rivera got here, he kind of wants his own guy. He kind of wants to move on. He kind of wants somebody not named Dwayne Haskins as the front runner and as the quarterback that he's going to go forward with in the future. And as a result, I think Dwayne Haskins' development has been incredibly stunted by the Washington football team and why the Washington coaches not helping him and not helping helping him develop strictly because they don't want him in the building. Now, another thing, a lot of it, as I said, is maturity issues. A lot of the things off the field issues. I heard stories about him bragging about his stats after a loss. There was obviously some other things off the field that I'm not going to go into, deep detail about that, there are big reasons he got cut for. But, I think a lot of his stuff is maturity issues. I think a lot of his problems, especially off the field, has to do with maturity. A lot of his problems off the field has to do with he's young. He's only 23 years old. He's a millionaire. He's, obviously he was hyped up to be one of the best quarterbacks to come out of the draft. He was a top 15 pick out of everybody in the NFL draft. He was hyped up to be the savior of the Washington football team. He was one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play at Ohio State with such a storied program. That's a lot. That's saying a lot about a quarterback if you're considered one of the best ever. And yes, he is an immature person. He makes very poor decisions off the field at times. He's not going to get drunk. He's not going to get high. He's not going to go kill anybody or something like that. But sometimes he makes poor decisions. Sometimes he's not the smartest with how he goes about situations off the field. And that's the biggest thing that his next NFL team is going to have to work on. They're going to have to help him mature. They're going to have to help him grow up fast. They're going to have to help him stop making the poor decisions that he's been making with the Washington football team. But I don't think that's completely unreasonable for a team to do. Again, Dwayne Haskins is immature. He's not the most mature person off the field. But if you were 21 years old, a millionaire coming out of The Ohio State University as the 15th overall pick in the NFL draft, hyped up to be the savior of the franchise, a dude that has really never struggled with football, a dude that's always had it, not easy, but has always been highly successful at the game of football when he's gotten an opportunity. Would you be the most mature person in the world at 21 if you were a millionaire and, you had so many fans and you had all these people cheering for you and you were hyped up to be the savior of an NFL franchise? Be honest with yourself. Would you be that mature? Would you make the smartest decisions all the time? The answer is no. I'm not 21, but I know if I were a millionaire at 21, hyped up to be the savior of a franchise, I probably would not be the most mature. That's not an excuse for Dwayne Haskins. I'm not making an excuse, but I kind of see where the immaturity comes from because, again, he was 21 coming out of college. He was a millionaire. He had all the money in the world that he could use. He had all this fame. He had all these people around him telling him he was the greatest, telling him he was amazing, telling him all these different things, hyping up his ego. And at the time, Dwayne Haskins probably made some poor decisions. And that's going to happen. As a young player, as a kid who, may not have grown up with a whole lot of kid that, all of a sudden received all this money and all this fame and all of this hype, he's not going to make the most mature decisions. And again, that's not a excuse for Dwayne Haskins. Dwayne Haskins has to be better. Dwayne Haskins has to make better decisions. He has to make better decisions off the field and grow in his maturity, but I think that will come in time. I think as he grows older, as he, kind of adjusts a little bit more to the NFL lifestyle, as he kind of gets to know things and kind of learns some things on and off the field, I do think his maturity will come, and I think his next NFL team can help him with that, but I don't think a maturity issue for a young kid should be the reason to stay away from a quarterback. It's not like he's Johnny Manziel going out and partying every single night. It's not like he's, Jamarcus Russell, who's never going to film sessions, who doesn't even know if there's, tape on the disc that he was given or not. It's not like he's a dumb quarterback. It's not like he's immature. It's not like he's not going to work hard or he's not willing to work hard. It's just sometimes off the field he makes poor decisions, and that's going to happen sometimes with a young quarterback that was drafted so highly and that got so much hype and so much money and so much, boost to his ego in such a short amount of time. And one of the other things that I think is a big reason that he wasn't successful in Washington is Washington didn't really help Dwayne Haskins a whole lot. In just 16 games, again, didn't even start all 16. I believe he started 13 of the 16 games he appeared in. Dwayne Haskins was sacked 49 times in 16 games. That is more than 3 sacks a game. If your quarterback is getting sacked 3 times a game, that is not good for your quarterback. Your quarterback is going to get injured. Your quarterback's not going to play well. He's going to feel the pressure early. He's going to make poor decisions because he fears he's going to get hit. And, Dwayne Haskins makes poor decisions. He's thrown a lot. He's thrown more interceptions than touchdowns, which is not good. Dwayne Haskins doesn't always make the best decision on the field, but I think part of that is all the pressure he feels. I think part of that is all the sacks he's taken. He knows he's going to get hit, and sometimes he's going to short arm it. Sometimes he's going to try to get it out early so he doesn't get hit. Sometimes he's going to make some, inaccurate throws because he's scared, because he's under pressure. Those things are going to happen when your quarterback is getting hit on average 3+ times a football game. The Washington football team does not protect Dwayne Haskins particularly well. The Washington football team doesn't necessarily give him the greatest weapons to work with. Obviously, Terry McLaurin is a great weapon, but other than that, who do the Washington Redskins really have in that receiving core that is a dangerous weapon, that is a dangerous receiver? They don't have a lot of dangerous receivers for Dwayne Haskins to work with. They don't have a great offensive line for Dwayne Haskins to sit behind and have time to throw an accurate football. I don't think Dwayne Haskins is the entire problem in Washington, and I don't think that all of his flaws, and I don't think all of the, things. And I don't think all of Washington's deficits and all of their faults lie on Dwayne Haskins. In fact, I think that the Washington football team truly was not helping Dwayne Haskins at all. I think they were hurting him more than anything else. I think they did not want him in the building. The coaches didn't want him there. And then on top of that, they piled some poor decisions off the field. You got you obviously have him getting sacked so many times. You don't have a ton of weapons for Dwayne Haskins to use. It was not a good situation for Dwayne Haskins in Washington. Both sides were angry. Both sides did not want to be in that relationship. So in the end of the day, I think it was the best decision for both parties, the Dwayne Haskins party and the Washington football team, to separate. And I think if Haskins were to go somewhere else, if he were to come to Detroit, he'd likely have better protection, as our offensive line has been pretty decent this year. They've been one of the better offensive lines in the NFL. He has decent weapons. Hopefully we re-sign Kenny Galladay. Quintez Cephas has shown some flashes. We could get a wide receiver in the draft. It's a loaded wide receiver draft. We could potentially still bring back Marvin or Mohamed Sanu. There's a lot of weapons here. You obviously have TJ Hawkinson, who's still there. You still have DeAndre Swift out of the backfield. Our team has weapons Dwayne Haskins can use. They have a better offensive line than Dwayne Haskins was working with in Washington. And I think those weapons and the protection could help Dwayne Haskins develop a lot faster and a lot better than what we saw in Detroit, or than we saw in Washington. If we were to pick him up from free agency, we could sign him to a low risk, high reward kind of a thing. He could sit behind Stafford versus being thrust and forced into the starting role right away. He could learn, he could develop behind a very good veteran quarterback in Matt Stafford for a year or two. Then we can move on from Stafford and we get a groomed, a polished Dwayne Haskins who has better weapons, who has a better offensive line, that has better poise, that is more mature, that is a better quarterback, that is better fundamentally and is a better leader. It's not always that Dwayne Haskins was immature either. I talked earlier about some of the poor decisions he made off the field. I've also seen instances where Dwayne Haskins showed intense maturity. I've seen him be the captain of the Washington football team at times. I've seen him make good leadership strides on the field. I've seen him talk to his players and say, "What can I do to help you?" That is what mature leaders do. That is what great leaders and great quarterbacks do. They look to how they can help the team, and I've heard Dwayne Haskins say that before. I've seen him make mature decisions on the field. I've seen him look to do whatever he can to help the football team win the football game, and those are traits of leaders. Those are traits that, that many great quarterbacks have and many great leaders have in the NFL, and I've seen Dwayne Haskins flash that. I've seen him show that he can be mature. I've seen him flash that he does want to win, and he does want to help the team in every single possible scenario. So I know Dwayne Haskins can be mature. I've seen Dwayne Haskins be successful. I know he has all the tools. I know that he can be a good quarterback. I know that the situation in Washington was probably the worst situation in the NFL for a young quarterback to be placed in. Dwayne Haskins has not been a great NFL quarterback, but that does not mean he cannot be a great NFL quarterback. That does not mean if he comes to Detroit with better weapons, better protection, coaches that actually want to help him develop and actually want him to be in their organization, along with a year or two to sit behind a quality veteran quarterback, learn a lot of things, learn, polish, get groomed by Matthew Stafford, and then can step into the starting lineup when he is ready. That will be a much more ideal situation for Dwayne Haskins than being thrust into the starting role just because the Washington Redskins didn't have a quarterback. Dwayne Haskins, I think, would be a good pickup for Detroit. If we were to pick him up, he would be by far the best backup quarterback on the team. He would have by far the best potential for for the successor of Matt Stafford on the team. We would not have to spend a high draft pick on a quality quarterback prospect in the draft because we'd already have one on the roster, and we would be able to spend our 5 picks on other positions that are much more needy for this team to win. I think that Dwayne Haskins could be the answer at quarterback. He could be the future for the Detroit Lions. He's a talented quarterback. He showed flash in the NFL. He showed a lot of flash at Ohio State. He's shown flashes of maturity in the NFL. Obviously still has a lot of things to work on and off the field, but if he were to sit behind Matthew Stafford for 2 years, get groomed, get polished up as a quarterback prospect, get help maturing a little bit. Obviously, Matthew Stafford's one of the more mature quarterbacks in the NFL. Doesn't, go on Twitter and rant, doesn't do a lot of that stuff. He is kind of a more quiet quarterback, kind of a more mature quarterback in the NFL that doesn't get caught up in social media and, with all that stuff. So I do think that if there was a quarterback that could mentor him and could mentor Dwayne Haskins in his maturity levels, I think Matt Stafford would be one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL for it. If we were to take Dwayne Haskins and let him just sit and develop for a couple years, he could be the successor to Matt Stafford and could be the quarterback we all thought he could be coming out of Ohio State. And I think it could be a win-win situation for the Lions and Dwayne Haskins. I think both could help each other develop and grow and become successful in the future. And I think that, if we were to sign Dwayne Haskins, it could be a win-win situation for both. We could get the successor for Matt Stafford. Dwayne Haskins could have a starting job. Dwayne Haskins could live up to the hype that was, given to him by the media coming out of Ohio State. The Lions could be successful for a long time. They could get their successor. He could be their successor. It could be a very good opportunity for both sides, and it could help both sides tremendously for what they want to do moving forward. With all that being said, though, that is all I got for you guys today. Let me know down in the comments below, would you like us to sign Dwayne Haskins, or do you think we should just stay away and maybe go find somebody else in the draft, maybe go find somebody else in free agency, or, let somebody else deal with Dwayne Haskins, let somebody else mature him? What do you guys think about that? Let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys think about this. But with all of that being said, and without any further ado, that is all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. If you are new to the channel and are enjoying the content, as I said in the beginning, please consider liking the videos and subscribing to the channel. It takes only 2 seconds out of your day to do so, and it helps the channel out more than you could know. I'd be greatly appreciative for it if you could do so. But with all that being said, that is all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you all tomorrow with more Lions content. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye, guys.